So the thing that I would want to start with is what is career planning. Now, while I would talk about specifics from a finance sector related to finance related sector, but I would want to first touch base generally on what a career planning is. See, career planning, while it is being talked about a lot, there are a lot of nuances to it, or I would say specific things that each of us need to focus on that. At the current age that we are in, there is it is a starting point for my career. So it's like you're starting from Delhi and you have multiple locations to go to. You can go to a nearby location like a Manesar or a Gurgaon, or a far off location to an Agra, or further far off to a Mumbai, or even outside India. But the point is that you need to plan out today that in case say you want to go to Mumbai, how is it that you want to go? What time do you want to reach in? How much cost that you are willing to pay for it, and which is the way that you need to take. Now, obviously, if you are going to Mumbai through a flight, you will not entail that first you go to a Jaipur or a nearby airport, which is not Delhi airport, and then go from Mumbai. So it has to be ensured that you first have a plane ticket which is out of Delhi airport, landing in Mumbai airport. So it's similar in career planning that what is my short term and long term goal that I'm looking at, whether it's a job in the long term that I'm looking at, whether it's an entrepreneurship that I'm looking at, maybe a startup is something that I'm intending to do. These kind of things are something that I need to look at. The second part is the process of, once we have thought or we have a broad idea that okay, I intend to do a startup. Now for doing a startup, there are various activities that are required. Now we know that there are multiple unicorns that are growing in India. We normally read, I'm assuming a lot of us would be reading newspapers, so we would know that there are a lot of startups that are becoming successful, and everybody would obviously be viewing series like Shark Tank, where a lot of people come up with different ideas. But the point is that it never started on the first day. You need to have a thought around it to actually see the process of what is it that you want to achieve and how is it that you want to achieve. See, there would be two types of people who would be decided that okay, yes, I have a fixed destination, so I can plan nicely. Others would be where I am not sure about the destination, so let me just explore various ways and thereafter reach a destination which can be of my choosing subsequently. So they are said to keep their options open. Obviously, if I have a direct goal in mind, I will reach early. If I do not have a direct goal in my mind, I would kind of take a circuitous route and reach there, but maybe in some time. So the point is that just deciding upon that I want to be a doctor, I want to be a chartered accountant, an engineer, doesn't make sense. The idea is that you need to detail out that plan, that once we have a broad goal statement, that yes, broad goal that I have to become a CA, doctor, or anything, what are the steps that are required in that? For example, people tend to say that okay, I intend to go to an IIM. Great, that's a great decision that you have done. What next? Okay, I will study good, great. I will get good marks in my college. Okay, great. In my school, 12th or 10th boards, very good. What is it? What else do I need to do? So you have to see that today, whichever career you choose, there are multiple people that are coming in. There would be a lot of competition that is going to be there. Now, how do I ensure that I'm better than the competition? That is the question that you have to ask. And that is the question which kind of decides upon what is the process of your career planning. This is I mean, it is like saying that in your school, say if I take only 11th and 12th class, or say 9 to 12th class, there would be close to say 300, 400 people. Now, if everybody is doing the same thing, then what is the differentiation that the person would have to kind of grow big, or I would say come first in a competition? That is the thing that you need to focus upon, and that is the need for career planning, where you decide that okay, I know that in an MBA interview, there are a whole lot of things which are required, or an MBA entrance exam. There are a lot of things that are required which could be related to my general knowledge, logical reasoning, data, English, maths. So take a step right now. For example, a person in ninth should first start reading newspaper daily, so that they know that what are the common points in my country today, as well as develop English out of it. It's not necessary that you start reading various novels which have a good vocabulary of English that is there. A normal newspaper, if you go through, that would also improve your English quite a bit. So those kind of things are something that you need to see and decide. And obviously, if you have a goal in mind, if you have a goal, say, of becoming an MBA, try and get in touch with people who have done MBA 15 years back, 10 years back, 5 years back, or recently, so that you can understand from them how is the process changing over a period of time. So all of this requires a good amount of planning and decision making at individuals' end. So this was more from a generic perspective that you need to think whichever career that you are choosing, whichever way that you are choosing, you can decide upon that. On a finance front, I have just listed down some of the, I would say, courses or career opportunities that are there, uh, which everybody today is aware of. This is more a broad list of services that are there. Some of them are included in this, which are relatively new, but most of them are time tested or old things that are there, but they are equally or even more relevant today. One thing specific to finance, I would say, is that in any organization, the most important thing is not after the idea, is not how you run that idea. It is about how you manage your finances. We have seen that big corporates like Nokia, for example, everybody is aware of. They had a very good product and everything was going fine, but they somehow lost way in between, and now they are maybe a ninth or tenth from an industry leader. Now they are ninth or tenth in the market. Similarly, there are multiple companies which had a very robust network of you know uh, sales, supply chain, and the products and everything, but could not excel just because of the fact that they do not manage their finances nicely. There was a company which was in telecommunication, which had a net worth of more than $10 billion. They went bankrupt. And at that time of bankruptcy, they did not have money to run their business on a day-to-day basis. But when it was liquidated, the shareholders got more than what they had invested. I would say more than twice what they had invested, just because the finance on a day-to-day basis was not managed nicely, but there was an intrinsic value. So finance, I would say, is the blood that runs through a corporate organization. Without that, it will not function. So it is a very, very important part of it. Be it any field that you go in, even if you are a engineer or a doctor, or you are looking to start, you have your own startup, finance is something that would be the first thing that you have to manage and decide which manage properly, so that you ensure that you excel in whatever you do. And that is where a chartered accountant comes into the picture. I, being a chartered accountant, obviously is a bit more biased towards that. But given that chartered accountancy is a course which is time tested, has been there for quite long, but there are a host of fields that are there in chartered chartered accountancy, which can be which you can take up. We know in a normal scenario, a chartered accountant would do auditing, do accounting for you, do taxation, be part of general management. But do you know that for every startup, they need a help of a chartered accountant to ensure that whatever they do, they excel in that and are compliant in all manners. So the point is that while there is a lot of discussion about what a chartered accountant does or what they should do, but they are one of the essential, I would say, cogs of the wheel when it comes to running any organization. So today also, if you intend to go for a chartered accountancy, you would know that without, if you're not into taking a lot of tuitions, then it's the most cheapest course that is available. It's more about self-study rather than a classroom study. This also has a lot of, I would say, support globally, where you, being a chartered accountant from India, you have quite a good status across the world. For example, if you go to US and do a comparative course of a CPA, which is Certified Practicing Accountant, uh, similar to CA in India, you're only required to give a limited number of papers and you could be a practicing CPA out there, be it Canada or any such countries. So the point is that chartered accountancy still holds quite a bit of sway. And now with the increase, or I would say a good result that is coming out, there are good chances of people sailing through and becoming quite successful. I'm sure you are aware, one of union ministers is also chartered accountant. We have a lot of people from in various fields who are by profession a chartered accountant, but doing a business or an entrepreneurship and managing it nicely. So there is a lot of scope in chartered accountancy. I myself, when I started work, I went into taxation during my articleship, specializing into indirect tax. And today I have graduated into looking at tax as well as technology. So people with a technology acumen but a chartered accountant are also in great demand, because today everybody is moving towards digitization of records, automation in all tax fields. So that is also somebody with a good technology base plus a chartered accountancy has a quite a good potential in today's market. Easy to do course, it's like a Chakravyuh. Getting in is easy, coming out is difficult. It requires a good kind of a working knowledge uh, to become a chartered accountant. It's more about practical application rather than theoretical knowledge that is required. Moving on, the second good aspect or good option that you would have is becoming a lawyer or going into judicial services. Uh, Lawyers, as we see, enjoy a lot of privilege. That is because they have a very important role. They are uh, the role that they play is the custodian of or upholding the rights of any citizen with regard to any law. So that is a very important aspect that is there. And when we talk about law, it's not only about lawyers. Becoming a lawyer or getting a degree in law, you are also you can also become eligible for becoming a judge or a legal advisor or a magistrate or various other activities in the law. But that's a very good option that is there. If you have a acumen of reading and analyzing things, uh, becoming a lawyer would be very, very helpful for you. I would be happy to answer any questions in between. If there is any thing that is there, do type it in. I will try and take it up. Then there's an option of cost and work accountant. This is a specialized field where any industry which is providing any service or manufacturing anything, they have to ensure that there is a profitability. I mean, any business needs a profit. So determining whether your cost is up to the mark or what is your cost is something that a cost and works accountant helps with. Again, there's a specific institute that is there which helps you doing this activity. Uh, I mean, getting this degree, and thereafter you can become a cost and work accountant. Uh, this is also a very important field and has developed quite a bit in terms of the requirement. So very easily you can go across. It's something similar to chartered accountant with a specific specialization, I would say. Uh, Moving, there is a specific opportunity in company secretarial services. Now, what exactly is a company secretary? As the name suggests, whenever there is a company that is formed, there is a person who is required who has to manage all the affairs of the company from a legal perspective. So to say, if a company is formed, there are certain regulations or certain rules that a company has to follow. All of that are maintained or managed by a company secretary. So each company, subject to certain limits, is required to have a company secretary. This is a very important position because a rule that is not followed can result in winding up of a company. It's like saying that the company today exists, but you did not do something, so therefore we will close this company. That is the implication that can happen. So a very important role, and a lot of people combine company secretary, CA and ICWA together to have a different variety of knowledge and have a holistic view of everything that happens in a company. So that is something that is also can be pursued. Actuarial science is something which is not a very explored field, I would say, but a very interesting field. In case of an actuarial science, what actually is done is that there is a assessment of what would be a financial impact of an event if it happens. So as simple as that, that if I have a manufacturing facility, I have a plant that manufactures say briefcases. Now if tomorrow this plant is destroyed due to a natural calamity, what is the value that the insurance company would have to pay to me, and what are the chances of this happening, basis which my insurance premium would be decided. Now to put this in words seems a very I would say absurd thing, that okay, how do you determine that what is the probability of something happening? But that is how it is done, that what is the value and what is the insurance premium that is going to happen. And similar valuation is also done in multiple aspects. Today if I have to raise money from the public, I have to go for a initial public offering, shares issue, my company has to be valued. That is also an actuarial science. So a host of things this can be done. Again, there are specific courses around it that you can do. It has a very wide impact. Outside India, it has been a premium, I would say, a degree or a service that people do for this, and a good paying thing. So this can also be explored. Specific courses around this are available. Moving on, MBA, I'm sure everybody is aware of. Masters of Business Administration, there are various fields that you can do. Once you do that, there are a host of activities that can be done. It can be into finance, marketing, HR, operations, international business, any investment banking, those kind of things. So that is something that various aspects of a business can be covered out here. Uh, from an For becoming an MBA, obviously, it's the idea is that you should be part of, or you should do it from an organization which is or an institute which has a very good placement record. So obviously it's a two-step process. For you it would be first a bachelor's degree, BBA or a similar degree, and thereafter MBA. Even after doing a BC or a BTech, a lot of people go into MBA. That is because that they have a long-term plan of going into management. Doing a bachelor's degree would entail you or allow you to do a good execution, but doing a master's helps you move ahead in the corporate hierarchy. It's always the management that I would say is paid the most or enjoy the most or are rewarded the most. So this is the second step that you will have to do, but you should always choose one of the fields and start preparing for that today, so that by the time you reach the threshold where either you are doing an entrance of an MBA or clearing an MBA, you would be better than your compatriots or your colleagues who have started the same thing. Again, as I mentioned in the starting, the differentiation that you would bring in, right? Uh, and this differentiation could be as simple as, you know, watching news in English, or watching movies without subtitles, understanding spoken English better, so that you can come across as a highly learned individual. I'm not saying that that's the only requirement, but that's the more perception that everybody has. So again, as I was saying, that the important part while choosing an MBA is obviously the institute, the degree, how good is the record with regard to placement, what is the ranking of that institute in the industry, all that needs to be determined. IAS, I am sure everybody is aware of. This is a very, very specific role where you have a specific set of skill with which you can become part of the administrative service of the government. These are the people who are actually running the government. We know there are a lot of ministers that are there, but they are being assisted by these IES, who are the ones who actually uh, drive the decision making. The decision may be taken basis various compulsions by the minister, but the point is that these are the people who drive it. Now, again, if you intend to go for this post your graduation, you have to start today. I mean, by today, I mean the people who are in 9th or 10th, they need to start today. For people who are in 11th and 12th, while there's some time lost, but you can still start and cover up that ground, because the knowledge the knowledge is not gained overnight or in a year or 6 months. You cannot say that, okay, I'll do a 1 year course and get all the knowledge. No, there are always going to be people who have been doing this for 4 or 5 years. So obviously, you competing 1 year experience competing with 4 or 5 experience is always going to be a challenge. So that's always better. Plan ahead, do your career planning so that you can ensure that the steps that you take today leads you to the goal that you have set. Uh, Broadly, that were the major points that I wanted to cover from a career perspective. There are a lot of other avenues that are also available in finance which are coming up. And really, it doesn't make a difference whether you have taken a commerce or a science, or what is the stream that you have taken. It is more about what is the goal and the steps that you need to take. So if you have already committed to a stream of studies, but the goal is not matching with that stream, there is still a basis of activities that, or a number of activities that you can do, basis which you can have that additional knowledge. Consider a person who is coming from a technology background or an engineering background and is trying to do finance, would be having a different perspective than a person who is doing finance since, say, I would say school or college. Now the problem is that the two things may not match, but it is for us how is it that we can leverage it. You may be aware of a software called Tally, which is an accounting software. It was a product in which there was a primary role of accountant and finance professionals, and a limited role of the technical or the engineers. Because the point is that day in day out, it was the finance guys who were doing accounting, and they were the one who told a specific process to everyone, uh, to the engineers who put it in the system. So it's the idea or the process that you have determined which can be put into practice by someone else, but the value is for that idea. So again, as I said, put across a goal for yourself, do a SWOT analysis, that is obviously identifying your strength, weaknesses, what are the opportunities that you have, what are the threats that are there. Now the threats, I do not mean physical threats, it's more about you have a lot of people around who would be doing similar activities. For example, if you start today, there would be a lot of people who would have already done it. If you go for an IES kind of an option, uh, then there would be a lot of people who would have been doing or trying for an IES for last 3, 4, 5 years. But then the point again is, what is it that you can do different? All of this then requires a specific support system. This support system may be your friends, family, people, career counselors, people who are already there, who have done those activities. Nothing beats experience. So definitely go across whichever career you decide upon. Definitely go across people in that field and talk, but do have a specific goal in mind. Let me be very clear that it is only in the movies that a person, when he is or she is in the first early stages of schooling, they decide upon that, yes, I have today decided that I'll be a doctor, and they know what they have to do. Or the person's mindset is decided in the early stages, that they know that what they have to become a guitar player. It is all about training your mind. So have a goal, convince yourself that you have to become that. Once you do that, rest everything would fall in place. That's broadly from my end. While I could not cover a lot of things, this is a very small time that is there, but I hope maybe some clarity I am able to provide of the options that are available. But again, decide and proceed on that. If you do not decide, then you'll be late. As simple as that.